Okay, I think it's live now. You can never tell like exactly when it starts, but if people out there in YouTube land are watching this, we are going to get this started shortly. I'm doing a little sending out the link a little bit, and
Your musical interlude.
yeah, there you go.
A little traveling music, Sammy.
Cool. All right, we're live and ready to go. David, why don't you kick us off?
Hi, welcome to the next meeting of the Communications Committee. I guess the Communications Community Committee.
Yeah, Community Committee and involves communication.
I'll just introduce myself and then we can go around. I'm David R. Allen and I'm helping with the business development for the Permissionless Software Foundation. So maybe we could go to you next, Chris.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Chris Troutner. I'm the founder of the Permissionless Software Foundation. I also manage fullstack.cash infrastructure and just helping to grow this community. Don, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Don Wanton, a cryptocurrency enthusiast. I work as a general manager at Ava Labs, and I have the first Bitcoin Cash and the first Avalanche tattoos on my left arm. That's what I'm known for. So.
All right, you got the tattoo, huh?
Oh yeah, no, I got this one on my forearm. So
nice.
You can see it.
Nice, fresh ink.
Yeah, I need to fill in my Bitcoin Cash one. Been waiting for a while, making sure it, doesn't destabilize.
True commitment. You're not an enthusiast. You're drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, we hit that road a couple years back.
Stoyan, you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Stoyan Zhekov. I am Bulgarian living in Japan, helping with BSH JavaScript libraries testing and development. It's all for me.
Yeah, much appreciated. Daniel, go ahead.
Well, I'm Daniel Gonzalez. I'm from Venezuela. I've been working since the beginning in the Permissionless Software Foundation as a developer.
Right on. That's great. Well, I'm going to go ahead. This is going to be a pretty short meeting. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Here's the agenda for today. As always, it can be found on GitHub at the Permissionless Software Foundation group under the Community Committee, and we filed them as issues if anybody wants to see them. The agenda for today, there's only this one item. So to introduce this, we have been going through a change in governance, and that's what's led to these bi-weekly meetings that we have. And we had our very first sort of private meeting for VIP members, which are people who have enough tokens with enough merit to get access to our VIP Telegram room. And the idea there is that they're the, let me just bring up the blog post that visualizes our governance. Because a big part of this reason we televise these and record them on YouTube is just for posterity. So that we're leaving like a trail of like why we've done the things we've done and how it, ultimately leads to our success or failure. But anyways, this governance change that we've been undergoing puts these token holders at the top of the sort of economic pyramid because any new projects that we fund will come at the cost of diluting the value of the existing token holders. So that's why they're the ones that should have the most say over how funds get allocated. And then under that, there's the Community Committee and the Technical Steering Committee, and this is the Community Committee. So what we've been discussing and undergoing is this very first funding proposal. So at the direction of the VIP members, what we agreed on in that meeting and what we've discussed in previous CommComm meetings is that everybody really likes the token airdrop voting system that we had before, where you can be anonymous and still be an economic actor in this community, and you get those airdrops of those voting tokens and use those to vote, and everything's proportional to the amount of merit that you have, or like basically your economic skin in the game. And so this is the very first proposal. It's intended to be an obvious proposal. It's going to fund our ongoing infrastructure, and so we need to fund this, otherwise like we have to completely rethink what we're doing. So it's kind of it's intended to be obvious, and it's intended for everyone to just kind of go through the motions. And it's also setting up the patterns and the processes that we're going to use going forward. So if any of this seems weird or uncomfortable, or people like just don't like it for whatever reason, I'm all ears. And this goes out to just the people in this meeting, but also the wider people in the community who might watch this YouTube video later. I definitely want to foster discussion around these ideas and this process in the Telegram channel. Nothing's locked in stone yet. Everything's still just a conversation. But to introduce this sort of format of a proposal is that there'd be an overview, a scope, a budget. So scope's really important. It sort of sets like, this is where it starts and this is where it ends, and this is what we're going to do in the middle. That's the scope. And so in this specific proposal, this is for ongoing infrastructure. So this is easy because I can just look back at the last 3 months of our overhead expenses and sort of forecast what it's going to be. And then ultimately things that get funded will get funded in tokens. And so because the token, our PSF's tokens hanging out around 25 cents per token, and that number can fluctuate because we're actually loosely pegged to BCH, and then BCH is loosely pegged to fiat. So it's very hard to estimate expenses in US dollars based on these tokens that can fluctuate wildly. So what we talked about in our VIP meeting when we were discussing this process was it's good for us to over budget, to overestimate how many tokens we're going to need. Everything will be tracked, everything will be transparent, and at the conclusion of a project, anything left over can be burned. It's sort of a problem if we don't have enough tokens to meet the budgetary needs. It's not really a problem if we have too many tokens. We can always burn tokens if they're unused. And whereas like in a government situation, that might lead to sort of bloat and inefficiency because we're a community funded by the community, working for the community, tracked by the community. There's just a lot more transparency and accountability in our process versus like what you would think of in terms of like a government and taxes and things like that. So anyways, this proposal is really just an attempt to take like, here's our expenses the last 3 months. Here's a forecasted estimate of what we think the next 3 months is going to look like based on our growth. Taking the current price of the token, here's an estimate of what that cost is going to look like in tokens. And then we talk about sort of adding a 20% error margin. And it also includes 2 hours of administrative work per week to actually just paying bills, tracking it on spreadsheets. So this is essentially the bare minimum infrastructure we need in order to maintain operations. That's why this proposal should be pretty much obvious. David, you had a question?
Yeah, just I wanted to point out, if you could go back up a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
the total for that line item forecasted February 2021, the total is about $552 or something. Just so you can get the context of how much money we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a small amount of money. We're really small, and we're not generating a lot of business right now. So that's why it's good to get these processes in place while we're still small. We can afford to make mistakes. There's not large sums of money on the table.
Thanks.
So anyways, to go back to like the general overall structure, because I'm hoping that this proposal will inspire additional proposals. They should all be structured the same way, with like an overview, a scope, a budget, and then deliverables. This is what the community is going to receive at the end of, when everything's done and everything's paid for. And then there's a voting section. And so what we talked about in the past is, so we'd create a new token, we'd airdrop it based on merit. And I can go into details on the merit thing if people want. But there's going to be a address for yes votes, an address for no votes, and then an address for abstaining. So really, this is just like if you don't care and you just want to get rid of your tokens, like nothing happens by sending the tokens here. You can hold on to your tokens if you want to, but it's there for people who want to, get rid of their tokens, essentially. These tokens won't have any value, and at the end of the vote, they won't be useful for anything. And the votes will be tallied they'll have like a specific block height cutoff. So where everything will be tallied. So it won't matter if people vote after that block height, those votes won't be counted. But that's the basic idea of these proposals. It's not too dissimilar to how we've done it in the past, except that it's mostly timing is the main difference. We used to do these and we did a whole bunch of grants all at once. Whereas this process is going to allow us to propose new proposals at any point in time, and we can vote on them at any point in time. And this is more in line with this Healthy Bitcoin blog post where I introduced this idea of the committees and how like anybody in the community can submit a proposal and we can discuss it as a community, and then eventually someone on one of the technical steering committee or the community committee would sort of be the champion, a liaison for it, and would be ultimately answerable and represent the economic actors in the VIP channel. And then ultimately the voting tokens that you get would be proportional to your merit, so your skin in the game. So you get to have more say on what gets approved or not. Does anybody have any questions? How, and just in general, how do people feel about this process? Does this seem too top heavy, or?
Seems pretty straightforward as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty smooth brained person, and it's fairly simple, so easy enough to understand. I like it. Takes maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm a little worried just with like fatigue with if we have a bunch of proposals going, and that's why I think it's important to have the abstain one, because if people just don't care, they don't have to be engaged.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the one thing that I'm a little worried about. I'm glad you guys feel it's simple and straightforward, because that's definitely what we're going for.
I wanted to ask about the budget. One of the columns was clients. What is it talking about in this?
Oh yeah, good question. So the fullstack.cash is where I sent out a financial report to all the VIP members, and so Stoyan, I want to get you in on that group, and because you definitely shown merit and deserve to be there. So let's work on that offline. I can get you a copy of, but that's one of the perks of being a VIP member is you get to join this sort of private meeting once a month where we check in, and then I'll be preparing monthly financial reports and sending them out to the VIP members.
No, I didn't want to ask about the details, just the meaning of the column.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. So that column is the infrastructure that's dedicated just for servicing the client. So it's pretty important because that's where the money is coming from to fund all of this. And so the BCHN column is for infrastructure dedicated to the Bitcoin Cash network. BCHA is the infrastructure dedicated to the ABC chain. Auxiliary is like other things like the web apps, wallet.fullstack.cash and message.fullstack.cash. And then there's the clients, which is the infrastructure specifically dedicated to clients. I should really put this in the article. And then the Google Drive is just a Google Drive that we used for storing content and sharing content for the community. These numbers are in the process of changing. The BCHN and BCHA columns are going to get smaller, and the client column is going to get bigger. in terms of the numbers, because we're bringing on more clients, we're spinning up more infrastructure to service those clients, and I'm in the process of streamlining all of our infrastructure for both BCH and ABC. Now that things are starting to settle down from the fork.
So we was talking before that there will be some bridging between the blockchains, like with Avalanche. Is this included in this hardware like requirements? Because it's not BSHN and not BSHA. It will be maybe something else.
Yeah, that'll probably go in the auxiliary column, because it will actually service all the blockchains, and it will be it'll BCHA. I plan to build a bridge for BCHA, BCH, and Avalanche, so be able to transfer a token across all three blockchains, and that'll be mostly a web app, so that would go into that auxiliary column.
Okay. Clear.
Yeah. Good question. Real good question. And and that brings up an important thing. Like, I suspect that as these proposals get submitted, every proposal would come through the community committee, and we'd have a chance to have this exact kind of dialogue. Like, this would be an important part of the proposal process. And I'm also thinking like a 2-week window. So one of the reasons why I wanted to introduce the proposal in this meeting is sort of to set up a timing. Like, now that we've had a chance to discuss this, we could probably have, like, say, another 2 weeks to discuss it in the Telegram channel among the community and in the VIP room. And then we'd probably so I could probably do the token drop, say, tomorrow for voting, but then we'd have like the cutoff maybe the Thursday after the next community meeting. And so that would give us 2 opportunities to discuss it before the votes are actually tallied. And again, not specific to this proposal, but just setting up a process that we can follow for future proposals.
Yeah, I like that idea of being able to circle back and then, one kind of initial introduction, and then before the final, chance to vote, you have one last.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because we're gonna get the people who feel strongly about things but don't necessarily have any economic skin in the game, and then we're gonna get people who have economic skin in the game and just don't really care, don't want to be engaged. So we're gonna get, and then we're gonna get, those are the extremes, and so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and how we deal with that. But giving enough time to have a discussion, healthy discussions, is good, but we don't want anybody to become a bottleneck and stop progress.
Oh, sorry. Quick question. This would be my first token airdrop and voting process. Question. Let's say there are like 2 proposals per 2-week or whatever period. Are you using the same tokens to vote either or on either projects, or is it like are you getting a token for each proposal? Is it is it like yes or no for each one, or is it you have this amount of voting power distributed among various projects?
Right. So in the past, it was an or situation where you have so many tokens and you have to choose which project to give them to. And that's the pattern we're breaking out of, where I think I'd like us to just have one proposal at a time, one voting token per proposal. So the token itself would change from proposal to proposal. We'd only have one to consider at a time. And so it would be much more serial that way. Did that answer your question?
Oh, no, definitely.
In this specific one, because that is a good question. In this specific one, I already created the token. There's a link here where you can see it on the Block Explorer. I created 10,000 of the tokens, and there's no minting baton. So yeah, there's 10,000 that have been created, no minting baton. And I called it PSF vote 0001. So like the next proposal would get 0002, would be a different token. And so each proposal would have this sort of basic information. So it would get airdropped. And let's talk about the merit, because right now things are pretty skewed. I did some calculations here. Let me see if I can. I was hoping I could zoom in.
Damn, I would have been a merit well if I hadn't destroyed it.
Well, and I mean, that's the thing, is like a lot of this is everything in the crypto space follows the power law. So I'm not surprised to see the shape of these numbers. So these are the addresses that are known to hold tokens, you know, by like that's in like a war chest or like in the token liquidity app. Those are ignored in this list. So this is essentially a breakdown. So the left column is the calculated merit for the address. So each row represents like a Bitcoin Cash address that holds tokens, the PSF token.
Mm-hmm.
And the left column is the calculated merit for that address. So merit is the token quantity times the token the age in days. And so this second or third column is the actual token quantity. And so if you take all the merit for all these addresses, I think I looked at the top 50 addresses. Yeah, the top 50 addresses. This second column is the percentage for that address. So like the top address holds 35% of all merit because it has a huge quantity of tokens and it's super old, it hasn't moved. And so it follows this power law, which is what I was expecting. So as these sort of tokens move around, they'll lose merit. And then as we grow as a community, more people will buy tokens and stake them, both to participate in governance, but also to unlock other token only features, like torlist.cash will allow people to advertise a web page by staking PSF tokens. And they'll be doing that not because they care about our community or because they want to join governance, but just because they want to advertise their web page. And so those, I don't think the power law shape is ever going to change. I think that's just inherent in everything that is crypto, has that appearance. But the amplitude should come down and the tail should widen. And so we'll get a more, and that's how I ended up settling on 10,000 tokens. So if I did the airdrop according to this spreadsheet, like that first address would get 35% of the voting tokens, and so I'm a little worried at how sort of top heavy these numbers are. But I mean, it is what it is, and it is fair, and hopefully it'll things will become better distributed with time as we grow. But I just thought I'd share this because some people do like to geek out on the numbers, and yeah, they're interesting numbers. This is all just data pulled from the blockchain.
Can you would you mind sending that out?
Yeah, I'll add it to the bottom of that proposal here at the end here. That'd be a good thing to. I might as well I guess we might as well, just for the sake of transparency, like add that spreadsheet essentially to every proposal, just so we can see how it changes over time.
Be nice to like enter it into a nice little pie chart.
Yeah, well, that it actually, all this information was in the financial report that I sent out. Oh yeah, so if you haven't seen that, Don, it's in message.fullstack.cash at that address that you gave me.
Oh yeah, I was just looking at it again, going over it again before I saw it.
But yeah, I don't think I had a pie chart in there of where the tokens exist and how many are in the open market. But I didn't include that table that I just showed that of merit and sort of voting token distribution. So yeah, that is new information. Okay, well, that's pretty much the only thing that was on the agenda. I'm hoping that we can, if there's anything, anybody has anything left to say or talk about, like, let's do that. But also we'll continue to have this conversation about the proposal in the Telegram channels over the next couple weeks. And then I do like that idea. I think I might do the airdrop tomorrow of the voting token. And then we could discuss everything at the next CommComm meeting in 2 weeks, and then tally the votes the following day. I think that'd be enough time for discussion, but also like keep things moving because we do have bills to pay.
Mm.
Okay, well, I guess we can wrap it up.
Sounds good. Thank you, Chris.
Right on. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you online in the Telegram channel.
All right, see y'all.